If you want to take a minute and create this outline in your notes for the 3 functions and 6 characteristics of good money, so go ahead and pause it while you write this down. So first off, the idea is, what is money? I mean, would it be a good idea for the United States to use ground beef as a form of our money? Why or why not? So you might think of a few different ways about how ground beef would be better than money. You could make more of it, so you could always have more money. But that lies a problem as well, because if there's more of something, a greater supply, we know that the price is going to fall. So the value of the dollar will fall if you can reproduce it. And you can probably figure out a lot of reasons why ground beef would not be good, like, having to carry that around. Is it going to be refrigerated, so you're going to have to carry around a cooler just to carry around money? It's much less portable. You don't want to stick it in your pockets. So, there's a reason that we don't use ground beef as money besides, the obvious. So, what functions do money serve? Well, first off, money must act as a medium of exchange. So that's the first function, and we use money as a basis for trade. It makes it easier for us to exchange things. So that's kind of the first idea of money, is that it has to be acceptable. We have to be able to use it to exchange items. And it's much easier than bartering. So if I make paper clips and you make pens, and you don't want any paper clips, there's nothing I can do to get a pen because you don't value paper clips. But if I can sell my paper clips for money, and you're willing to accept that money for pens, now we can make trade much easier. And then the increase in trade has increased the world's productivity. Second one is unit of account, and that means that money allows us to compare different items during similar units. Sometimes this is called a measure of value. So how much does a hamburger cost? You're pretty well versed in about how much it's going to be. But how many chickens equals 1 cow, or how much ground beef equals a chicken? It's a little bit different to measure the value of, say, ground beef. But with dollars, what I always like to say with the unit of account or measure of value is that it's easy to know if you're getting ripped off. Somebody tries to sell you a hamburger from McDonald's for $1.50, you know that's about right. But if you show up and they ask for a 20, well, now you know you're getting ripped off, because money has a good measure of value or unit of account. The third function of money is store of value. It just basically means that you're able to save the money and spend it some other day. Now, in the example of ground beef, you could save that for a while, throw it in the freezer for a while. Eventually it's going to go bad. Whereas money, you can do a lot of things to it and it's going to be just fine. If you've accidentally thrown money in the wash, you know that money's going to come out the other side. Put ground beef in the wash, I don't know what you're going to end up with. So the basic idea is that money needs to last a while. It's savable and can be used later. So the 3 functions of money are: any money or anything that acts as money must function as those 3 things. It must be or have a pretty good, at least, store of value. You have to be able to save it for later. It has to have a good unit of account or measure of value, because you must know what things cost. And it must be acceptable as a medium of exchange. So with those 3 things, whatever we decide money is, must have those 3 functions. So with the characteristics, we look at the 6, and there are others, and different textbooks have different amounts, but what makes some form of money better than others? If it's more durable, easier to divide or divisible, it's acceptable, it's portable, it maintains its value, and it's familiar. So money being durable just simply means it needs to last for long periods of time. Okay? And divisible, money should be easy to divide. So if we're looking at a dollar versus a cow, the money is more durable, it's going to last longer. I don't know what the breakdown rate is on the dollar, but I would imagine if after 100 years you left it in your closet, and it's still going to be money. Won't be worth as much, but it's still going to be there. Whereas if you left the cow in the closet, it's probably not going to do well over 100 years. And divisible, I think that's pretty self-explanatory as well. Easy to divide a dollar, that's why we have coins. Not so much with cows. Money has to be acceptable, or good money. So money should be widely accepted. And this is one of the flaws currently with e-currencies, such as Bitcoin, is that they're not very acceptable in many places, so they don't have that characteristic of good money. Now, it is acceptable some places, but not everywhere, whereas a US dollar, pretty much in the United States, will be acceptable anywhere. And money should be portable, much easier to carry around with you. And again, the dollar has that benefit over, say, cows or ground beef. And then the last 2, maintains its value, so hold its value for a long time. And familiar, you should be able to recognize money. and it should be familiar to its users. So if you were to come across a counterfeit dollar bill, you would probably know it pretty quickly based on some of the counterfeiting measures that are used. You may not, but it's very familiar to you. You know that if, on a $1 bill that President Lincoln shows up, something's going to be off, and that's not right. Now with cows or ground beef, you're not really familiar with, well, what makes a cow better than the other or worse than the other? Is that cow sick? How many pounds is that cow? So if you're using that as an exchange, it just becomes more difficult. So good money is familiar to its users.